How do you buy a tax sale property? In today's video, I'm going to give you the insider's take on how to buy a tax foreclosure property. And at the end, I'm going to give you a special insider's method, which is a completely different way of buying properties, which is even better. So let's get right into it. So a tax foreclosure property is being sold by the county government because someone didn't pay their real estate taxes. And when you don't pay your real estate taxes, they take it deadly seriously and they will sell your property right out from under you to collect those taxes. And it's because the counties really need that money. They use the money to pay for the schools primarily, but then for firefighters, for police, for filling potholes, for collecting trash, all of those necessary county services. And they count on that money being collected. So they take it deadly seriously. So if someone doesn't pay their taxes, their property is eventually going to end up in someone else's ownership. Now, when you're getting into this field, it can be a little confusing because you're going to hear about tax liens and tax deeds. We're here today to talk about tax deeds. A tax deed is where they're auctioning off ownership of the house. Tax liens are not ownership. Tax liens are where they auction off the right to collect taxes, interest, and penalties if and when they're paid. So that's a completely different thing. If you want to learn more about that, I do videos on that. Just look through my channel and you'll find them. But today we're here to talk about buying properties, which are tax deeds. When you buy the property, a tax deed sale, completely different than buying it through a real estate agent or any traditional method. Because this is a sale that is as is, where there's no inspection, there's no interior tour, there's no financing available. It's a cash in the barrel head, buy at your own risk. So you need to make sure that you are very, very well informed before you put down your hard-earned money for any property at a tax deed sale. Because when you get that property, yes, you're going to get ownership of the property, but they're not guaranteeing anything about that property. They're not guaranteeing it's not a toxic waste site. They're not guaranteeing that it doesn't have black mold. They're not giving you an inspection. So you need to really be careful and be knowledgeable about when you're getting to these things, because there are issues that come up. Among the issues that come up, what if someone is still in the property? Could be a tenant. It could be the former owner. How do you get rid of them? Well, that's under state law is how you get rid of them. And typically it's some form of an eviction. But if you don't have a lease with the person, it typically takes a much more complicated and expensive form called an ejectment action, which take months and months and months, take over $10,000 to do it by the time you're all said and done. So it can get very expensive. So you have to make sure you absolutely educate yourself before you put your first dollar down. So the question is, how do you educate yourself? The way you do it is you're going to get yourself two resources. One is linked up with someone who really knows what they're doing. And I've got the guy for you. I'll tell you about him at the end and give you a chance to learn from him for free. So that's one. And the second thing is you're going to identify a local attorney that can take care of the legal issues. Because legal issues include things like the old owner files bankruptcy, or it's a toxic waste site, or there's occupants in the property. All kinds of things like that. So you need to make sure you have a local attorney. Pretty easy to find them. The way you're going to find them is pick the place you're going to be buying properties at tax deed sale, and then just do some searches. How do I evict someone from a property about a tax lien sale? Or how do I buy a property at tax lien sale and then stick in your state, Pennsylvania or whatever state you're talking about. And look for articles written by attorneys that are licensed in that state who are trying to attract clients who are tax sale investors. And when you find that person, call and talk to them. And if they seem like someone you want to work with and they seem knowledgeable, then schedule an appointment where you can sit down with them for an hour or two and go over what the hazards are and the way that you deal with them in that state, what the approximate costs are. Pay them for that consultation. Don't expect a free consultation. Offer to pay for it. It's going to cost you a couple $100, and it's the best couple $100 you'll invest before you invest your hard-earned money in a property, because then you'll have an attorney that you're going to need in this field, and you're going to know the problems in advance and what they cost. So that's the first thing. Second thing, when you're buying a property at the sale, here's the way the process works. First thing you're going to do is get your list. You're typically going to get that from the county tax collector. So do a search, Buncombe County, such and such state, tax sale. And that should take you to wherever they're holding the next tax sales website. and a list of the properties going up for sale, assuming the sale is sometime soon. Usually those lists are published anywhere from 30 to 45 days in advance of the sale. In some places, the sales are held annually. In other places, they're held monthly or even in some places weekly. It depends to a large degree on both the state and also the locality. Often the larger localities like big cities will hold sales much more often. Like for example, in Florida, the sales are held weekly. In Pennsylvania, they're held annually. So you need to do that research. So once you find out when the sale is, get your list, and that's a list of properties that are scheduled to be sold for sale. And the process from there is that you first are going to review each property to see if you're interested in it. And we start with electronic due diligence. You're going to use two systems to do that. The first system is Google Maps. Use Google Maps because you can see an overhead view of the property, plus you can get the street view, which can show you what the property looks like from the street. You can turn the camera around, you can see what the neighborhood looks like, and you can see, is this a place that I would want to buy a house? The second system is the GIS system. The GIS is a government system that essentially overlays the lots and the dimensions of the lots onto a map. So if you have your parcel number, which you will have from your tax sale list, you can look that up in the GIS system and you'll see exactly where that property is. You can see if it has road access, you can see how wide it is, you can see all kinds of information about it. And there you're trying to screen out properties you don't want. You'll find a tax sale, they often sell useless strips of land that are just from a surveyor's error where they didn't join two lots together and there's a little strip of land that isn't owned by either lot to either side. And nobody wants that land. Or you'll find land that's in a drainage ditch or it's landlocked, it's behind other parcels and doesn't have any access to the street. You don't want those kinds of things. Those are just a waste of time and they're easier deals to do. So skip those. But the GIS system is going to help alert you to that because you'll see, hey, this doesn't abut a street, which means I can't get access to it, which most likely means it's a useless property and you don't want it. So make sure that you do those two forms of due diligence. And then about a week before the sale, you want to pull the list again to see what's still left on the list. The reason I say that is that people are going to rush at the end to pay their taxes. When they know their property is going for sale on June 1st, they're rushing all through May to pay their taxes. And so you'll find that a list that maybe 1,000 properties to start with is now down to 300 properties because people have rushed in to pay their taxes. When you get about a week out prior to the sale, that's the time you want to do your next due diligence, which is putting eyes on the property. You want to see that property either yourself or through someone else that you're sending out. You want them to report back, or you want to look, did the house have a fire? Is it boarded up? Is it occupied? Is it a house? Or is it just a little strip of land? You want someone to actually see the property because if you don't have that, you really don't know what you're buying. And there are no refunds in these sales. It's just you bid, you win, you pay, and you get whatever you get. They're not going to do anything for you. So make sure that you do that due diligence. And also make sure that as the sale approaches, you're checking that list every day so you see what dropped off. So if you're scheduled to go drive by properties and you see that 3 or 4 of those dropped off, don't bother to see them because if they dropped off the list, it just means that someone paid the taxes and so that's not going to be sold. Typically, these lists start out as very, very big lists and will reduce by probably between two-thirds and half, somewhere in there. So if you had 1,000 properties to start with, you're probably going to have between 300 and 500 that are actually sold at the sale. And so each day they update the list as people pay their taxes. So you'll see as things start to whittle down. So once you get your short list, then get prepared to bid. Get your money together. These sales are cash in the barrel head kinds of things. They don't have mortgage financing or anything like that. So you need to make sure that you're ready to pay in cash for your bid. And make sure you check in advance of the sale what the terms and conditions of sale are. You can get that together with the list, and there you want to look to find out, do you need to pre-register for the sale? Usually you do. Usually it's about a week or more in advance of the sale. You need to make sure that you do pre-register if you need to. Make sure you understand how you have to pay, if you have to put up some deposit or provide proof of funds, which in some places you do. So make sure you review the terms of sale. That's going to give you all of that information and comply with whatever you have to comply with. Usually that's just pre-registration. Usually there's not a fee for any of these things, but usually it's pre-registration. Then go down ready to bid and make sure that you don't overpay for properties. Sometimes people get so excited, they get auction fever. They're like, oh, he's not going to get the property. She's not going to get the property. I'm going to get it. Well, it's great, but you don't want to get the property by overpaying and then you sort of have a Pyrrhic victory where, yeah, you won the property, but you got a bad deal. So now you're not actually going to make money on it. So don't be that man or that woman that just gets competitive bidding fever. Instead, set your bid at whatever makes sense to you based on what your use of the property is, and don't exceed it. If the bidding gets above that, just drop out and know that there's another deal on another day. And I've seen many people get auction fever and they end up with auction regret when they overpay. And generally speaking, when you're buying a property for, say, a fix and flip, the math is that you need to get 30 or 40% off of retail minus your fix-up costs. And most deals are not that good. Some are. And the ones that are, you want to get those properties. But the ones that aren't, you want to skip them, let someone else have them. Matter of fact, what I'll do for you, down below I'll put a link to my Flipper spreadsheet. And there, that'll give you the math behind it. Just fill in the Flipper spreadsheet. That'll tell you what your estimated profits are for any deal that you would do. It's what I use for my own auction bidding. Hopefully that will help you. And also make sure that you go watch my video interview with Tony. Tony is the insider secret guy. He is the guru to buying at tax sales. And he's got a little back pocket strategy that he tells you about in that video that nobody else talks about. Very few people know about it. And it's absolutely the best strategy to be buying properties at tax sale today. So click on that link down below. Go watch my interview with Tony. Your mind is going to be blown. It's 20 minutes that will absolutely expand your understanding of tax sales because I got the expert to spill his guts. So your next steps, get the Flipper spreadsheet and click on the video and go watch my interview with Tony, and you will be starting down the path to what I hope is a great success in buying properties at tax sales.